Hey, welcome everyone. David Scott, the director of Bounce Student Disaster Recovery and Bounce Student Church Planting, with you today. And you're seeing a newsletter video from us today. And I got a couple of my favorite people, a couple of great youth pastors, Johnny Gonzales and Alan Franz, who have been doing youth ministry for a number of years, and they've been doing it effectively for a long time. And they're sort of some of the guys that I sort of see as youth ministry heroes because they have been in it for the long haul. And I really appreciate that. I had a friend, Jane Wilson, who is a friend to all of us, who used to say it's a luxury to have a youth pastor who's been around for a while, that's older and seasoned. And the two churches these guys served are the benefactors of that. And I appreciate them and the investment that they make in youth ministry. And I appreciate what they do in terms of missions as well. And just a couple of questions for these guys today to talk a little bit about church planting and their experience with us. But first of all, I want to ask both of these guys this question. Johnny, I'll let you lead off if you would.
Okay.
But tell me, why is a missional element so important to what you do in student ministry?
Right. Well, when you stop and consider what he's called us to do, he said, he didn't say, hey, go and build a great student ministry. He didn't say, go and build a great youth building. He didn't say, go and build a great, fun time. He said, go and make disciples. Um, in other places in scriptures, he said, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the uttermost. And so if we're not emulating what the church at large in our student ministry is called to do, then I believe we're doing a disservice to teenagers because when they age out of youth ministry and they're looking for all the flash and bang and whatever you want to call that, they're going to say, this isn't fun anymore. And so when we instill in them and whet their appetite to make disciples and be missional in their own lives, wherever God calls them, then that's the service we want to do for them and help them to become disciple makers. And so I think that's why a missional aspect of our student ministry is so important, if
Well,
not foundational.
yeah, that's a great word, and Alan, I know that you do a lot in terms of missions with your students, domestically and globally as well. I know you had a lot going on through the years and continue to do so, which I appreciate. But what would you add to what Johnny said about that missional element in student ministry?
Well, I think what he said is foundationally perfect. Like the scriptures are very clear. Go into all the world. And if all we do is stay, then we're not being obedient and we're not setting these students up for success. So the way I think about it is I don't go to football games to watch the teams huddle. I mean, not a great view to see a team huddle. I want to
I
see what
love it.
happens when they break
I'm going to
the huddle.
steal that, okay?
Either way. But and so if we're not being, I don't go to the games to watch them huddle. I go to see what they do when they break the huddle. And I think the church has done a really good job of huddling and showing the world our sweaty rear ends. It's time to break the huddle and go run the play that God's called. And that called play is missions. And that's where we go across the street, across the room, across the
Right.
state, across the world. And that is so important if we're going to be well-rounded followers of Christ.
Man, great words, great words. A lot of wisdom there, fellas. I do appreciate that so much. You guys have been with us with Bounce on a number of occasions. I know you do other things besides Bounce, and I think that's great and wonderful. That's what we want groups to do. We want them to do a lot of things, as far as missions is concerned. But you have been very supportive of what we do with Bounce, and I know in the last couple of years, you guys have been with us to the Pacific Northwest, specifically to Seattle, where we've got some great partnerships going up there with Texas Baptist and the Northwest Baptist Convention and their church starting up there. But you guys have been up there, have mobilized student youth groups to come with us up there to serve. And maybe tell us a little bit about maybe some of the highlights of serving in that area, in the times that you've been up there. What was some of the benefits of mobilizing your students up there? So, Alan, why don't you lead on this question?
Okay. Um, it was an incredible time for us to be up there. One of the initial things that was such a highlight is the fact that I got to take students to a place they've never been before. Several of my kids had never been on a plane before. And so getting to introduce them to even what travel looks like and doing that as a group was such a great thing. Then you're going somewhere that's not like Central Texas, which is where I'm at. It's completely different. The views are different. The people are different. The culture is different. And to get in there and experience it firsthand with conversations, with serving, was incredible. to meet people willing to go to the Northwest and serve. Those pastors were amazing men of God. And our group was so encouraged by their obedience. That was a huge highlight. And then we got to see a handful of people come to Christ, and some of our students got to lead people to Christ while we were there. It was incredible, and I loved that it was a place that was safe to be uncomfortable. And I think being uncomfortable is important in growth, but also being safe is important as well. So we were safely uncomfortable and got to see God do neat things.
Yeah, that's a great word. Johnny, what would you add?
Yeah, I would just echo what Alan said. One of the great things that I get to experience when we partner with Texas Baptist to Bounce is I know all these small details are going to be taken care of. And when we travel with teenagers, one thing that parents are concerned about is are they going to be okay? Are they going to be all right? They're going to stay safe. And especially when they hear, oh, Pacific Northwest, that's a long way away. I can't get to you in a car, overnight. So they're concerned about that. But I know that David and everybody that's partnering with you up there is looking out for their safety. On top of that, yeah, when you go to the Pacific Northwest, and I'm in North Texas, and you're thinking, man, this is a great area. But when you get up there, their kids' eyes are just open, like, man, this is amazing. So they get to see another part of the country, which is fantastic for them because, like Alan said, some of them have never been on a plane, some of them have never been out of Dallas Fort Worth. Some of our kids, but when we got there, I always think about this quote by C.S. Lewis: "Friendship starts when one person looks at the other and says, 'Oh, you too? I thought I was the only one.'" And so our kids, when they got there, we saw Alan's church. They made buddies with Alan's church, and they're like, dude, we thought we were the only one. There's other kids that know Jesus. What? I mean, I'm not saying that in a way that they were just sheltered, but it just encourages them to see, oh man, there's other people in our generation that are trying to do the same thing. So that was a highlight, to see other churches partner with other churches and seeing other parts of the United States. And then, like Alan said, be safe. That was a great thing.
Yeah, one of the things that's always so cool for me is typically, with a Bounce, particularly with church planting, you're out serving with your youth group in the community, but then you come together to talk about what you've done, to share highlights of what you've done, and worship together in the evening. That's always a real bonus for me, to be able to see students who come together and celebrate what God has been doing in the community as a result of their service that week. So that's always a really cool aspect of things as well. Now, obviously there's a lot of times there's challenges and things like that, with the mission service. What was it like serving in the area? What were some of the challenges that you all may have experienced, and maybe how you sort of dealt with and overcame those kinds of things?
Man, Alan, how many air mattresses did y'all leave behind?
All of
Yeah. I mean, just a logistical thing. I mean, we're going to be sleeping on the floor, and do we want to carry the air mattresses with us? No, I mean, that was a logistical challenge. But hey, we overcame those. And when we prayed, we asked God to bless the details, and He took care of all those. And yeah, we looked at it as a challenge, and you're like, oh my goodness, how are we going to do this? But when you ask God to lead you, He's going to lead you in a way that's going to take care of you. And you might be challenged, but when you turn around and see how He works it out, and we give glory to God. So that's one of the things we had to deal with. Transportation was an issue, but hey, rent a van, rent a bus, whatever you need to do, and that worked out fine. Now, you can't do that at the last minute. So if it's a week before bounce and you don't have transportation, we're going to try to help you. So you got to do some planning on the front end, and you need to be prepared for all those things. You can't wait till the last moment. So if you're able to pray for details, ask God to bless them, and you look ahead and make sure you do what you got to do, it all works out just fine. And challenges, yeah, they come, but when we prepare for them, we'll be ready to go.
Alan, anything you'd add?
Yeah, just a couple thoughts on that is, like, we shipped our air mattresses ahead of time. So we didn't bring them. We didn't have to fly with them. They were just there when we got there, and then we left them there for the next groups that need to use them. So that worked out really well for us. Fundraising is always an issue that people go, oh, it's so far away and fly. I believe when God gives vision, he gives provision. And when we're obedient, he provides our needs as we need them. Some of the opportunities, we got to go and serve at a safe shelter for ladies. We got to go serve food to the homeless and take care of them. We got to walk around Seattle and have gospel conversations with people. We did a lot of walking. Like, you need to be ready for a lot of walking that's there. We did like block parties for the churches, and they would have those, and we would do all the setup and have games, and we'd run the games and do all that. And that was outstanding. And just making sure that our kids were where they needed to be, being friendly, having conversations, never by themselves. And it was an amazing opportunity to do that. But just being, I call it being fluid. Flexible things break, fluid things kind of just because they need to. And so those church planters are, man, they are running around like crazy. And so giving a group that can help them is so encouraging to them to get stuff done. They can do more in that week with our group than they can get done in 6 months by themselves.
Right.
And so that was awesome. We just have to be ready for whatever change and pivot here. And the weather caused this, and we go over here, and hey, this is what we're going to do. And we got to go make copies of flyers before we can hand them out. Like, you're just ready to go and do and serve. And when you have a great attitude, your experience is that much better.
Yeah, I just want to echo what again what Alan said. The attitude that we had as leaders is going to cause our students to follow in the same way. When we look at things as in such a way, it's like, oh man, this is terrible. This is gonna be horrible. The kids are going to do the same thing. But when we look at it as like, this is okay. Here's a challenge. Let's see how God's going to work this out. Kids look at that the same way. So it's important that we have a positive attitude when you go up there. You see a challenge. Yeah, it's a challenge, but this is more of an opportunity to see how God's going to work things out.
Sure.
So I love that way you said that, Alan. That's true, man. I mean, have a great attitude is huge, because when you go on a mission trip, you just want to see God work. And sometimes it's outside of your box. It's outside. How did you put it? You're safely comfortable. Safely uncomfortable. Well, I'm not in control. Yeah, we're not. God's in control. So let's watch and see how he does this. Yeah. And when kids see that happen, they look and go, wow. I mean, that's just a great thing, a great experience. So yeah, positive attitude, watch how God's going to work. So Alan, great. That's a great point.
What about the culture? What about some of the challenges of the culture? You know, it's a beautiful place up there. One of the things I love going to the Pacific Northwest is we typically leave. We're crawling off of roofs here in Texas or Louisiana or someplace like that where it's been 100+ degrees, 105 degrees, and you get up there and they're apologizing because of a heat wave of mid 70s to 80 degrees. You know, that's all beautiful and everything like that. You know, we jokingly would say, yeah, we can bake cookies in our car down here. It's so hot, you know, but you know, and they're apologizing for 75 degrees. But what are some of the challenges maybe of the culture? Even though it's a beautiful place, there are some challenges. What were some of the things that you guys maybe saw in that way? Alan, what would you say about that?
Well, I'll tell you the challenges, but I'll also say this up front. The church planters and Bounce did a great job of preparing us for what those challenges would be. Things like what they call the Seattle freeze, how people are very cold to the gospel, and you have to earn the right to share the gospel. That they trained us really well. Like, you're going to stand out with your Texas accent, and so up here they're going to know you're from Texas. But that can be a very good thing because they're curious about that. Like, why y'all talking like that? And y'all have horses, like, but it opens up conversations, and Bounce prepared us well to have those conversations based on our accent. But that was definitely a challenge in there. Another challenge was being prepared that whatever church planter we got paired with is not going to look like what the other church got paired with. So each one of our groups that was with a church planter had a different experience. Mm-hmm. And so making sure that we kept like not comparing them, like ours was better than yours, but to rejoice with each other about the opportunities that we had to do that. And that's, you know, students want to compare and like, oh, yours is better, yours is more fun. We had to walk more. But they all were effective, and they all got to share the gospel. And so that was a bit of a challenge to make sure that the comparison game didn't get played, but there was unity in the body of Christ. And then having those conversations in the Seattle freeze was definitely a true thing that I wasn't sure I believed it till I experienced it.
Yeah. John, anything you'd add?
Yeah, no, just the partnership with the church planter. Uh, he and his see, we were with Stephen Searles, and he and his wife just explained what we were going to see when we did a block party for them. We canvassed their neighborhood and invited people, and they just let us know, hey, if the door's closed, don't be offended. That's just the way it is. But on the plus side, on the other side, he said if somebody uh, shows interest, man, don't be afraid to engage them in conversation. And my son and one of our volunteers got to pray with the little old lady who was having health issues, and he came back just thinking, I got to pray with somebody. And I thought, well, you prayed with somebody before, but that's not what they told us. They told us that wasn't going to happen. There's this freeze thing, and so, but he said we broke through that. I'm like, that was God at work. You got to see him at work, and he just went away going, whoa, I thought, and it blew him away. So partnering with the church planter, his prepping our team was just great, and allowing our students to see that there's a different culture than the one you're used to, open their eyes to the need that people have outside Texas. Because again, it's so easy to have tunnel vision, and that's what they were. They were right here, But when we expose them to the gospel, up to opportunities to share the gospel outside of Texas, that blew them away. Again, another highlight, but it was a challenge, and they overcame that and faced that really well.
Man, thanks, guys. Appreciate that so much. Wrapping things up here, if someone's watching this video that's considering the possibility of maybe going to the Pacific Northwest with Bounce, what words of encouragement would you have for them regarding that? So, Johnny, what would you say?
Yeah, first, I'd say, man, you need to pray through that. You need to pray and ask God to lead you. If He's calling you to go, the one thing you don't want to be is disobedient, and you want to make sure you follow what He's calling you to do. Now, first off, he said to go. This is an opportunity to go. So you just need to work through the details and talk with your church leadership and say, is this a possibility for our group? I would say this is a huge opportunity for any Texas church, big or small. It doesn't matter what size church you're at. We took 9. I took 9 plus myself, so 10 total. So you can be a smaller group. You can be a little bit bigger. It doesn't matter. I would just encourage you to explore this, and your kids are going to come away changed for the good, and experience this Seattle area, and understand that where that culture is right now, that's where we're going to be real soon. That's another thing I forgot to mention. Stephen Searles, a church planter, was saying, hey, this is what's happening right now where we're at. And if you're not, if you need to be aware that that's what's happening in North Texas for sure, probably in Central Texas as well. That culture shift is happening, and we need to prepare our students for that. And how do you share your faith in that type of culture? And that's what they got the chance to do. So I would encourage anybody who wants to expose their kids to the gospel to take advantage of this opportunity we have to Texas Baptist and Bounce.
Alan, bring us home, man.
Okay, what I would kind of wrap up with, I mean, Johnny said great things. Our kids are still talking about it. And this is a year and a half later. Our kids are still talking about Seattle. They're still talking about their experience. They're wanting to go back. We still are connected to our church planters. We Zoom in with them from time to time and join us, and we still talk and pray for them. And so it wasn't just a one-off where you go and come back and never. It changed our group. Like, it was fantastic. And so that was a huge thing. It stretched me as a leader to train my kids in a different culture, in a different way. And I was grateful for the opportunity. I'm so grateful the way Bounce takes care of groups. I'm a control guy. I totally admit that. I like things to be done my way. But to follow the leadership of Bounce is someone worth trusting. They understand youth ministry. They understand students. They take care of you. They answer all your questions. And so it's this package mission trip opportunity that you get to be creative within it. And so it was fantastic experience in that way. And so I don't have to do all the planning and all the details, and I don't have to find the lodging. I just have to find my transportation. I don't have to prepare food. They take care of that. I get to train my kids. It was a great experience from the preparation, the communication, the safety, and the experience altogether was fantastic. Right. And it's so beautiful. Like you said, we're
on top of that,
down here triple digits in the summertime. We go up there and we went hiking on Mount Rainier and saw snow. Like we literally had that experience while we were there when we got to see the sights of what was going on. And our church planter took us and he went with us as we went and explored. And I can't wait to go back again.
Well, we are grateful for you guys and your support of Bounce. I know Johnny's been with us on a number of occasions through our church planting missions. Alan's done both. In fact, Alan, you're doing construction with us this summer, I know. So
coming to see you.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys so very much, and appreciate your time with us today. I know you guys have got busy things going on. This is D-Now week for both of you guys, and we're trusting that's going to be a great week for you all. But thanks for sharing a little bit about your Seattle experience. We hope it may inspire others to consider that possibility to go and be a part of church planting in a place that is so in need of the gospel, a beautiful place, yet a place that is so dark spiritually. And we have the opportunity to expose kids to some meaningful ministry opportunities, but also to encourage them to think about church planting. One of my hopes is what we do is we hope that church planters will come out of this ministry.
Amen.
And I know the guys in Seattle hope that they'll come to Seattle and help them.
That'd be great.
We have a lot of students who walk away from that experience, even our collegiate staff who think I'm considering the possibility of coming back up here, because it is a place that is so in need of the good news of Jesus Christ. And it's a long process. It's a tough place to serve, a beautiful place to serve, but a place that is in need of the light of Christ. And we're grateful you guys mobilized with us up there, and hope you'll do it again someday. We're excited about that partnership out there and look forward to more opportunities in the Pacific Northwest. So thank you guys for sharing some time with us today.
Thank you, David.
We are trusting you have a great weekend and look forward to seeing you soon. And Alan, I know I'm going to see you this summer. So anyway, thanks for being with us today. It's been a great time.
All right.
Thanks,
Welcome.
David.
Thanks, David.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care.